I'm so ready.
You're so ready?
So this week, I thought it was going to be fun to start doing a peek and a pit of our week because we are moms and we work and we have lives and
Crazy.
Tara's married and, we don't get to spend all this time together during the week. So Sundays, when we record our podcasts, are like our little catch-all.
It's like our girl time.
Yeah, and sometimes we catch up on the podcast.
We do.
So
you guys are actually hearing some of this live. Like, we're sharing it with each other for the first time.
Yeah.
Which is kind of fun.
Which is a story that I'm dying to get into, but we'll get into it in a little bit. But yeah, I thought we could do like a peak and a pit, like a high and a low of our week.
I love that idea. I think it's so great.
Me too.
I'm excited.
Do you want to go first?
Sure.
Okay.
So let's do the pits first.
Okay.
Let's get that out of the way. I got a text from my ex-husband with some like asinine parenting plan proposal because the parenting plan we have in place right now is a temporary for when we were RVing, and it expires in February, technically. And so we either have to come up with another plan that we agree on, or we go back to what's in the court order, which is basically sharing custody 5 days and 2 days a week. Which we live in Utah, y'all,
yeah.
And he lives in Oregon, so that's not going to work. So we have to come
get Xavier full time.
I don't necessarily want full time, just because I think it's important that he does spend time with his dad. But the plan that his dad submitted to me was basically like 6 months on, 3 months off, 3 months on, 6 months off. So basically, in my off year, I would only see Xavier for 3 months.
That's insane.
Which is fucking ridiculous and an absolute no-go. So I was like...
Is he also homeschooled?
Yes. So he does online schooling. Yep. So he does that no matter where he is. So he just does online
At least
school.
That's a stressor that you don't necessarily really have to focus on. You don't have to worry about transitioning him to a new school, making new friends, whatever.
But. So school is like his constant. He just always has his online school, so that's nice. Which he's been doing since like 4th grade. So he was even doing that before we did like our RV life. So I got this email from his dad, and I was like, "You can take a long walk off a short blank, because like that shit ain't happening." And I came home and I told my husband, and he was like, "Oh hell no! You got to be kidding me! Like that's basically in your off years, you don't see him for 9 months."
That's a long time.
That's a really long time.
That takes 9 months is exactly how long it takes to grow a human being.
Right. And it's a very long time.
Dude, pregnancy
forever.
Lasts forever.
I always joke when people are like, "Oh, that's such a cute picture of you. How far along were you in your pregnancy in that picture?" And I'm like, "Oh, about 500 weeks." Because it feels like that, right?
Yes.
You feel like you've been pregnant for forever. So to miss him for 9 months, like I was like,
that's how long
you're
it took
stupid
him to
and
go
you're kidding.
from nothing to everything.
Yeah.
That's a long time.
Yeah, that's a long time. So that was just kind of a crappy ending to a very long, crazy week.
Don't you love how guys will send you like crazy batshit stuff right before you have to see them? Because you're going to Oregon for the holidays.
We leave on Tuesday.
Right. So now it's just going to put this like little rain cloud all over your trip.
Literally, too, because we're going to Portland. But, yeah. So that just kind of sucked. And I was kind of pissed off about that. So that ended up my week in a kind of sour note. But anyways, what about you? What was your pit this week?
My pit was... So I am self-employed.
Right.
And my pit kind of has a silver lining.
Oh, good.
But the holidays are coming. People are out of town. People are saving money. So when you're in an industry like mine, whether it be like mortgage or investments or insurance like me, any kind of like financial nook and cranny is going to be a little slow this time of the year. And I had my most appointments. And if there's any other insurance broker listening to this, they are going to choke. But I typically do 2 to 3 appointments, and I normally sell something.
Sure.
I normally put something in place, either 1 or 2 of those appointments. So I never have like a really busy day. And it's not because I'm not busy. I just have a lot of other things to do.
Sure.
But this week I put aside an entire day, and I booked 4 appointments.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my
That's
God.
a lot.
For me, yeah.
Yeah.
There's other brokers out there who will do like 10 appointments a day. So I hope my boss isn't listening to me right now. But like I have a pretty good closing ratio, and I think it's because I'm honest with the people that I meet with.
Sure.
And I'm not like gimmicky. You know, I'm not trying to like trick them into something. I'm just like,
here's what it is.
Here's what it is.
Yeah.
This is what you have. These are the gaps in your coverage that I'm seeing.
Yep.
This is what's going to fill those gaps. Do you want it or not?
Right.
And they're either yes or no.
Right. Right.
And then I walk out.
Right.
And like, easy peasy. A lot of people make this job harder than what it used to be. But I walked in to an appointment where there were already 2 other brokers.
Awkward.
I was like the wedding crasher of insurance appointments.
Oh my God.
Like, there was a
awkward.
health guy and a life guy. And they were literally in the middle of submitting their applications. And she's like, oh, I just thought I'd get it all out of the way in one day. She's like, but I like what they have. And I'm like, are you sure?
Right.
Are you really comfortable with what you're signing up for
right
now?
Right.
I'm like, because I don't have a problem signing you up. And it was the most awkward thing I've ever walked into in my life.
No kidding.
And like they just looked at me like I'm not Sharky. That's not my edge.
Sure.
You know, like I'm not the ultra aggressive salesperson. You know, like I present people with their options and they take them if they want them.
Yeah.
But these 2 guys were like the pre-owned car salesman of insurance.
Oh, yuck. Yuck. Gross.
And they were like, I swear the younger guy growled at me.
Weird.
Maybe I imagined it. But that's how I felt. I felt like he was looking at me with his eyes.
Like a snarl.
And growling at me. And like, get out of my appointment. This is my money. And
that's
so yeah.
Weird.
Freaking awkward.
That's
never
super
happened.
Awkward.
So I like run out to the car and I call my boss and I'm like, guess what just fucking happened to me? And he's like, what? You like, didn't you have like the most appointments you've ever booked in your life? My 4 appointments. And I was like, yeah, but guess what just happened to me? And I told him and he's like, that's weird.
That's really weird.
Never happened to him.
Really?
And like his dad, he was telling me like his dad was in insurance before he finally got into it.
Sure.
And he's like, I've never even heard of that. He's like,
that's
who does
crazy.
that? Who books
Seriously
all of like their insurance appointments at the same time on the same day? Weird.
Super weird and awkward.
Super
come
awkward.
On. That's
super awkward.
That's like going to the dentist and bringing a dentist with you.
Yeah.
Right? You just don't do that.
It's so weird. And
so weird.
And yeah, so that was weird. And that lady was a hoarder, so like, I really didn't mind leaving.
Right. You're like, I'm good. Thanks.
I don't want to insure your 500 copies of the Salt Lake Tribune.
Could you even imagine? Oh my gosh. What a nightmare.
But yeah, that was like the weirdest thing. So now I'm like, okay, next week, I don't really know how it's going to go because it's like nobody's home.
Right.
So I'm going to call, see if I can set appointments, and then basically just probably have to like take the rest of the week off.
Yeah.
And just do other things. Yeah. I have 25 days of recipes coming up.
Yes, I'm so excited.
Are you going to try some?
Heck yeah, I'm going to try some.
I'm going to try some too. Let me know which ones you're doing, and then I'm going to do them.
Yes. I love that idea. And I've got family coming for Christmas. So
they're coming here?
Yeah.
Have they ever been here before?
I'm not sure.
Really?
I think my parents probably have been. I don't think well, that's a big fat lie. My sister came, so my sister's soon-to-be ex-husband, his parents live in Colorado, and every summer she sends her kiddos, my niece and nephew, to stay with them for like basically the whole month of August, so they can get some really great one-on-one time with those grandparents. And so their older son lives kind of up in, I think, like the Layton area.
Okay.
And so this is like halfway between Portland and Colorado. So they
really
meet
nice.
here to do the pickup and I think the drop off. So we were already here the end of August.
Yeah.
So it was like perfect. So she drove to Layton, picked up the kiddos, came down here. We had dinner. They stayed the night and then they got up and drove back to Portland the next day. So she's been here, but it was literally like a hot second.
You know what's driving me crazy is like you have this whole like Western scattered family co-parenting whatever life happening here, and
Yes.
everyone is just figuring it out,
just flying by the seat of our fucking pants.
But Michael is making it so difficult going through this whole custody thing.
So frustrating.
So if you guys haven't listened to, I believe it's last week's podcast.
Yeah.
Or 2 weeks ago, because we are a week ahead. Then make sure you go and listen to that. It is Divorce and Custody Battles, which is my life right now.
I can't, I don't even have words for you,
like
with what a douche he's being.
When I moved to Elko, it took him months to talk me into doing that. And I was like, why is it so hard? Because he was like, if you stay in Ohio, I'm never going to see my kid. And I'm like, that's not my fault.
No.
Like, I dated a guy for a really long time who unfortunately has now passed away. But he used to go down to North Carolina and visit his dad, like, every summer and, like, spring break and, I don't know, whatever.
Like, all the big chunks of time that he would have off of school, basically.
And, like, he got to see him the exact same time as if he lived 3 minutes down the road and had him every other weekend.
Right.
And I'm just like, when we lived in Elko, he never really came by. We never really saw him, and he was literally like 3 minutes away. Now we live 300 miles away.
Yeah.
And he's freaking up my ass with this lawyer bullshit.
All I can do is shake my head and roll my eyes. Like, I feel like my head's going to fall off my body with as much, like, head shaking and eye rolling as I do at this man.
Dude. And my bank account is feeling it because this is not cheap. I got my first actual bill, so I've been like willingly like giving my lawyer checks.
Sure.
And this is also a pit. I have a few pits. I have a few armpits of this week. I got my first ever actual invoice from my lawyer.
Yeah.
And I about threw up on my computer.
Seriously.
Maybe Utah needs to start getting like a lottery so I can like start scratching off those tickets.
Start buying your tickets every week.
Yeah.
That's the thing. That's like the thing that I'm really hoping that my oldest son and his dad and I can work out is, if we can work it out between us, that would be great. But at this point, like, my husband is already so ticked with like all the other money that we've thrown at like this whole scenario that he's like, nah, we're done. Like, let's just take him to court. Let's get custody. Like, we're done. And I was like, oh my God, that's going to cost so much money. And like, and being away, right?
Yeah.
I don't know what the logistics are on that. So if there's any family law attorneys out there who have any advice on like,
DM us.
Yes. On like across state custody and like, he's 12 too, right? So
I think that's about
getting there.
The age where he can choose, right? Like, is
right,
that
but
16, 13, 12?
So there's not actually like a legal age that they can like say. So it's basically whenever they have like enough wherewithal to have an opinion, like in a true opinion, not just like my mom's mean because she makes me do the dishes. I don't want to live with her, right? But like a real opinion about it.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's just all of it is just stupid and it sucks. But I don't know. Like I don't know.
So stressful.
With us in Utah and his dad in Oregon and the divorce is out of Oregon and everything is based out of Oregon. I don't know what pitfalls there could be around custody and fighting him on it, you know, a judge could just be like, hey, listen, he lives here, his life is here, he stays with his dad, which would be devastating.
They're typically more pro-mother.
Right.
Like, kids need
right.
their mother. And, like, that's what my lawyers, because I've been really just nervous because my poor little bank account is, like, withering away.
Seriously.
And Milo's dad makes, like, well over 6 figures a year. And he's been, like, nicking away using his financial situation against me. Like, he got me that car as a gift and he took it back.
Right.
Which, obviously, I used my car to get to work. And
right. To support you and Milo.
Right.
Yeah.
So, like, that has been a hindrance. And he made us move to Salt Lake, which is much more expensive than where we were living in Nevada.
Right.
So it's just, like, between lawyers and everything else, and he's kind of, like, withholding child support, and he's not paying for Milo's daycare.
Oh, my gosh.
So, like, not only do I have no car, Mike has been letting me use his car.
Sure.
But, so I took Milo to get his very first haircut, and we went to...
It's so cute. It's so cute.
I have a highlight of it on my Instagram, so if you guys want to see how well that went, go ahead and see my highlight on Instagram. We were walking out of the haircutting place for kids, super cute, and I see this fans store.
Yes.
I'm like, oh, Mike is a fan.
Yeah.
He loves sports. He played professional baseball. He was a coach. Like, he's sporty. He's like Sporty Spice.
Yes, he is. He is. I've seen Mike. He is legit Sporty Spice.
He's so Sporty Spice. So I walk in, and it's like a store, and it's just like full of hats.
Yep.
And I'm like, okay, this like should not be called fans. It should be called Mike's.
Right.
Because
that's totally him.
Everything in that store is like
his
the
style.
Perfect gift.
Yes.
And they were having a buy one, get one holiday sale. So you buy one, get one half off. Yeah. So I got him 2 hats. I got him this really fancy hat, and I got him a Utah Utes hat.
Cool.
So anybody, if you have a fans near you, they're having a holiday BOGO sale right now.
Yeah.
So I got him 2 hats for his birthday.
That's rad.
But yeah, like, he's been letting me use his car, which is great. But like, I also feel guilty because I'm like, I put a lot of miles on my car with what I do.
Sure.
And I'm just like, oh my God.
Right.
So I just like.
But here's the thing that you have to remind yourself of. And I think this is like another show topic that we need to like jot down and remember is like that mom guilt, the mom woman guilt.
Yes.
So here's the deal. He knows what you do for a living. He knows that you drive a lot. He knows that you have a lot of places to get to and that you put a lot of miles on the road. He wouldn't have lended you his car if he didn't know that, right? So the story in your head of like, oh, I feel bad, blah, blah, blah. Sure, feel bad. That, I mean, empathy is good and, you know, but don't like beat yourself up over it because he wouldn't have let you use it if he didn't know what he was getting into, right?
I'm just like amazed. Like, every time you tell me like these co-parenting, like living, moving, relocating, like situations, you and your family, you just work it out. You just live your life and you figure it out the best way possible.
Just do the best we can.
And that has been like the biggest struggle for me is because Michael is like, no, I want to see Milo whenever I feel like it. Because like the last time he was at my house, the words, I want to see Milo on my terms, came out of his mouth, and I threw a pillow at his face.
Yeah, no.
And I'm just like, he just wants to see Milo whenever he feels like it, and he wants to have us here just in case he feels like it.
Right.
Sorry.
No. Answer's no.
I'm like looking outside, and it's like the smoggiest day today, and I'm like, ugh.
And it's cold too.
It's cold, and if I wanted to live in a green bubble of like freaking Ghostbusters smog, I would live in California.
I was going to say, go to LA, because it's terrible.
But no. Okay. Anyway, let's do peaks.
Okay, so you do your peak first, because mine's kind of long. And it's crazy.
Is that story a peak? Is it positive?
It totally is.
Oh, I'm so excited.
It totally is. It's so crazy.
she tormented me this week, just like I tormented her 2 weeks ago by
What's
sending
the
her.
car deal?
My car was stolen. Can you come to my house?
I was like, what? What?
Didn't say anything after
And she
that.
didn't tell me anything, and so I had to find out about it on the podcast.
And now she has some juicy news.
Sure do.
And she's been holding it tight. So yeah.
I'm not pregnant, by the way.
No. Me either.
Thank God.
Thank God.
I would have already thrown myself off the roof of the house if I was. So.
Oh my God. I was a little nervous there for a minute because I have PCOS. And I have an app on my phone that is supposed to, it's called Flow. And it's one of the
I
only
have that
apps.
same one.
Really?
Yes.
I love it.
Yes.
And it's one of the only apps that can catch patterns. So when you have PCOS, you're not just like this irregular freak. There's always a pattern.
Sure.
So like
Sure.
1 month it could be 30, 1 month it could be 28, whatever your cycle is. And it's supposed to catch on to those patterns.
So it's like a smart app.
Yeah, it's like a smart app.
That's
I love
awesome.
it. So if you have it, and if you have it too,
yes.
You really have to be like due diligent about adding in like symptoms and logging in things and whatever. And like obviously I'm not the best at it, but it's supposed to take anywhere between 6 to 9 months to catch a pattern.
Okay.
And mine's like not there yet.
Right.
Because I switched it over to pregnancy mode when I had Milo.
Sure.
And then I was breastfeeding, so I
Sure.
didn't even need to use
Sure.
it for like 10 months.
Right.
Which was incredible.
Best ever.
And then Milo stopped breastfeeding, and then all the joys
Slow
of
return.
being a woman
Slow return.
came crashing into my life. So, and then I just didn't log it for a while. But now I'm like using it and trying to be accurate. But it was like, oh, you were supposed to start your period 4 days ago. And I was like waiting, and I'm like, shoot me in the fucking face. I cannot handle, I do not want to go to custody court.
Pregnant.
Right. Like, how white trash Jerry Springer Maury Povich is that? No offense to anybody out there.
Right.
Just saying.
That's just your own personal opinion of your own situation.
I've always had a timeline in my life. I've always had this, I wanted to go to college. I wanted to have a career. I wanted to buy an apartment in the city. I wanted to meet a nice man.
Right.
I wanted to have a nice wedding, have a pretty ring, maybe get a dog, move out of the city to the suburb, buy a house, have a baby, die.
Done. I'm already exhausted for you.
That is how my life was supposed to go, and that's not what it's doing. So no. I was freaking out, but it's good.
Good. Yeah. So I got mine too because I'm 41.
Maybe I was just waiting for you.
Maybe. Maybe. So I'm 41 and I've already noticed that my cycle has already kind of started to change a little bit over the last maybe 3 years. So, and granted, okay, so let's do the math, right? So Corbin's 4.5, 41. So I'm already I'm just barely getting through this parenting thing and I'm already on the verge of my body shutting down on me. So, but over the last, I would say maybe more 2 years, I've noticed it kind of started to change, but we were, we had a lot going on. We were RVing and we were traveling a lot and stress and things like that. But I was I don't feel like I had one last month. I just kind of lost track a couple of times. And granted, I'm not anywhere near getting pregnant because my husband got the whole snipperoo. I think Corbin was 6 months old.
Milkman. Hashtag
right.
milkman.
No.
Just kidding.
Talking about Jerry Springer. So, I was like, what is going on? And so then I got it to kind of start tracking it to see, because I knew it could pick up on the not schedule, but patterns and things like that. So
it's incredible. Not sponsored,
I'm hoping, by the way. No, not, but hello, if you're out there.
Email us.
So, but it's pretty cool because now I'm I feel like I can try to get a better handle on as my body is changing and things like that, kind of what to expect and watch it kind of try to, start to drop off, which is then the sign of all the other changes. Which,
and you can upgrade
good
for $1.99.
Right, which is like nothing.
Like the menopause app.
That's apparently what I'm going to need.
You're so lucky.
I'm so old.
I told Mike, I was like, I am trying to not, like, steer too far away from my timeline.
Right.
I was like, so if I'm ever having another kid, I told him by the time I'm 30, because I just turned 29.
Right.
If I'm not pregnant or have another kid by the time I'm 30, I'm getting my tubes tied. And he's like, whoa, whoa, whoa. 30's not old. And I was like, yeah, but, like, I hear all these things about, like, after 30, you have, like, higher risks of, like, complicated pregnancy and, like, development issues and stuff.
I would say even later, though. Like,
really?
35, 36 maybe. So,
I had to get my blood
like,
taken. I have O negative blood.
Right, which is rare.
Pain in the ass. So they constantly tested me for RH.
Sure.
So throughout my entire pregnancy, I looked like a heroin junkie.
Sure.
Because they take blood and test it every single week. Then I also have PCOS.
Right.
And I also have an acutely tilted uterus, which it's not cute.
Right.
It's odd.
Right.
But I guess the doctor also said that changes every time. Like, sometimes you could get pregnant and your uterus will just stay there, or it'll, like, form with the baby. I don't know.
Our bodies are freaking magical.
It's bizarre.
And also terrible, all at the same time.
Super weird. But yeah, so I'm just like, oh my god. And, like, pregnancy fucking sucks.
Yeah. Honestly, though, between my two, so I had Xavier, I got pregnant when I was 28, and he was born just before I turned 29. And then Corbin, I got pregnant when I was 35 and delivered at 36. That pregnancy, what is also, again, air quotes, geriatric. That's a geriatric pregnancy, by the way.
Oh my god.
Yeah, they use that term.
It's so awful. What an asshole.
Yeah, it's a thing. That's what they call it.
My mom had me at 36.
Yeah. Geriatric pregnancy. So shout out to all my geriatric moms out there. So
that just makes me think of, like, a nursing home filled with a bunch of pregnant women.
Right?
Like, did you play shuffleboard during your pregnancy?
I wish. I should have. Got a walker and shuffled around my house in some slippers and a muumuu.
You know what I really want? I want one of those, what are they called? Like the hover-rounds? The power wheelchair that can do a full 360.
Ah, yeah, now we're talking.
Like in stationary position. Yes, my grandmother had a friend.
Yeah.
Whose name was Judy. She's not listening because she was 100 years old when I was, like, born. But she always had, like, the top of the line, like, power wheelchair.
Yeah.
I'm like, dude. Like, she would give us, like, the kids, like, the old ones.
Yeah.
And we would play with them.
What?
And we would have, like, sidewalk races, like, in front of her house.
That's amazing. That would be fun. That would be super fun. But no, I didn't have a wheelchair, but I should have. But honestly, though, like, that pregnancy, I felt my best.
Really?
I did. I honestly did. Like, I just felt like I had my shit together a little bit more just in life in general. I mean, again, take away the fact that I had only been living with Joe for like a month when I found out I was pregnant, and we weren't married, and I was going through a divorce and raising a kid, and my life was kind of a shambles. But
you know, you had your shit together.
But I had my shit together
as much as anybody.
As much as you can
have their shit together.
As much as you can in this world today. But I just felt better. I just felt better. Like I felt like I kind of knew what I was doing a little bit more. I kind of knew what to expect. Like those first time mom pregnancy jitters weren't there. Like I don't know. I feel like at this point I'm kind of an advocate for like a later pregnancy.
Yeah.
Just
see,
because
it freaks me out.
No way.
No.
It's awesome. I mean, we did all of the extra testing because you do have increased chances of things like that. But I was like, I'm a healthy person. You know, I don't smoke. I mean, I drink, but I don't smoke. I exercise. I eat as well as I can. I live a pretty healthy lifestyle, so I wasn't really too worried about it. And I know, like, you can't change that, your DNA or whatever, just with things like that. But I just felt like I wasn't worried about it.
See,
I
my
just
mom
wasn't.
had
But my
me when
husband's
she
a
was
worry wart,
36.
so he was super worried about it.
I think the fact that I spent probably 5 hours a week in my OB's office getting tested,
Right.
I probably just read way too many pamphlets.
Oh, for sure.
Because
Read way too much propaganda.
Mike has now talked me into having a 32-year-old cutoff.
Fair.
Because his friend Pam,
Fair.
who is, like, incredibly gorgeous, by the way.
Shout out to Pam.
She's, like, smoking hot.
Yeah.
Her husband, Joe, so, like, lucky. But she just had a baby. Cutest baby ever. And she's 32, he said.
Yeah.
And I did not expect her to be 32. I thought she was going to be younger than me.
Yeah.
And he thought that was hilarious because he's like, you think Joe's a creeper?
Maybe.
No. I just
and
didn't
so
think,
what if he is?
I just didn't think she was that old. So, did I tell you that Mike's mom thought I was like 22?
No. Well, because you're adorable and you look really young.
So we were sitting there at his sister's house one time, and she was talking about how she was going to go to Colorado on this work trip. She went to Denver, I think. And they were going to go out to eat. Everybody at her work was going to go, like, out to eat at this, like, fancy place that have all the, like, they have all these, like, creative cocktails and whatever. But, like, dry ice and, like, all kinds of crazy stuff. So she was, like, rambling off this list of all of these cocktails that she wanted to try.
Yes.
And they sounded deliciously out of control.
Yes.
I think there was one of them that was, like, served with, like, a piece of fried chicken or something.
Yeah.
Like, weird, creative mixology-style cocktails. Awesome. She was super excited about it. And I brought up the fact that me and my girlfriends used to get together at TGI Fridays for happy hour. And we would get cocktails and half off appetizers because they don't have a happy hour here in Utah. So I was like,
there's some places that do.
It's illegal.
Really?
Yeah, they can't have happy hour. They can have happy hour and they can do, like, half-priced appetizers, but it cannot include alcohol.
Well, maybe that's what they mean.
Yeah.
I've seen
places with happy hour. We would go to TGI Fridays, and I used to get this thing called a Purple People Eater, and it was, like, a martini that was pink, and it was served with, like, a, like, purple piece of cotton candy. You can only have one, because if you have two, you'll throw up.
Oh, yeah, that's way too much sugar.
Instant diabetes.
Yeah.
But it was so good. And Mike's mom looks over at me, and she's like, I don't even know how you got served there. You're not even old enough to drink that stuff. And I was like, I thought it was weird. And I was like, okay.
But I am.
Okay. And I, like, thought it was weird. I'm like, whatever. And I, like, completely forgot about it. It didn't, like, bring it up again.
Yeah.
Whatever. And then we were out somewhere. I forget where. I think we were, like, out to dinner. Or, like, maybe it was, like, at their house. We were sitting at the kitchen table or something. But I think we were talking about the podcast. And she was like, I just have to ask, how old are you?
And this is Mike's mom.
This is Mike's mom, and she's hilarious.
Yeah.
And I was like, I just turned 29. And she's like, no way. She's like, because I think it was, like, right around the time of my birthday, maybe. But anyway, like, Mike was like, yeah, Mom.
Like, I'm not a creeper.
I'm not a creeper. Yeah, she's 29. What? Like, I think we were out somewhere because we drove back and we were talking about it in the car. But, yeah, my memory is, like, shot to hell. Hello, Alzheimer's. But, yeah, like, we were talking about it in the car, and he's like, oh, she must have, like, she probably still thinks, like, I'm 22.
Right.
You know, and he's 36 today.
Right.
So it's like, it was so funny. Oh, we were at old people lunch.
Old people lunch.
So, like, they go out to lunch every week on Fridays at 2. And
Yes.
it's like old people
Yes,
lunch.
like early bird hour
Yeah, and
meals.
that's what it's called.
That's awesome.
Or they call it. They're like, it's like his dad and his mom and like
Yeah.
all of their cousins and whatever. But yeah, she was like, I just have to ask, how old are you? And I'm like, I'm pushing 30. like I'm old enough.
Right.
And she's like, no way. And I'm like, that's so flattering. But
it really is.
What a creeper your son would be
right.
if he was like dating some
hooking up with a 21-year-old.
Like, yeah, like some chick that's like not even old enough to drink while he's been well out of college.
Right.
You know.
That's hilarious.
I'm like, oh my god, that's funny.
That's awesome.
Yeah, my peak is I took Milo to get his very first haircut
and
ever.
It's so cute.
And he's 2, and I'm sure like other kids have had haircuts by now. But Milo, I wanted to hold on to his hair as long as possible.
Oh yeah.
Just because he doesn't really have a lot. That's like the one thing he didn't get from me. Because my hair is out of control. But his is like thin. He already has this like receding hairline that he gets from his dad.
It's just not all in yet.
And
I'm sure he'll be fine.
I hope. I'm keeping my fingers crossed. But yeah, it's on my Instagram highlights.
It's so cute.
So that was bittersweet.
Yes.
I can't believe my little infant baby is old enough to get a haircut.
Right.
And, well, obviously he's not an infant baby anymore, which is crazy, but.
Right. It goes by so fast.
So cute.
Yeah.
I, died a little inside. But I was hoping that I was going to leave there being, super proud of him.
Right.
But.
And said you needed a drink afterwards.
Almost.
Yes. I feel like those hair salons, if they're going to be cutting on, your kiddo's hair, and they know, they've got to know that, 80% of the kids come in there are going to be freaking the fuck out.
Oh,
right?
she do.
They should
She was wrestling him.
Oh, yeah, and they're so good. They have, patience of Job, because I couldn't do that.
Hella tip, by the way.
Also think they should have, a little mini mom bar in the salon, so you can get, a shot just to take the edge off, or
you know how you walk into
a little cocktail so that you can down a drink before you have to listen to your kid scream like a banshee to get his haircut.
You know how you walk into a fancy salon and they give you a champagne with raspberry in it?
Yes. That's what they need at the kids salons.
Fancy adult salons and cookie cutters for kids.
Yes.
That's where they need it the most.
Absolutely. I 100% agree. So if anybody out there owns a kid's hair salon, get on that, because I'll be there waiting.
Not here.
No.
Because special.
Right.
But yeah, what was okay? I'm
dying. Are you ready?
Let me take a deep breath.
Yes.
Maybe one more. Okay, I'm ready.
Okay. All right. So my peak of the week.
Oh my god.
It actually happened on Monday. So it just started off my week with a bang. So I don't even want to spill the beans. I want to give a little preemptive story. So usually when my dad calls me, it's my birthday or a holiday or something like that, like Mother's Day or those are probably
a special occasion.
Those are probably the 2 days that he calls me, unless I'm not home for a holiday, right? So the last 2 times that my father called me out of the blue for no reason was when my mom had her heart attack and then when my mom had her stroke. My mom's fine, by the way. So everybody listening, my mom's perfectly fine. She's well and good and ornery as ever. I love her.
Awesome.
I love her so much. So I answer the phone. So I'm running to my desk. It's 5 o'clock on Friday. I'm still at work, of course. And I'm I missed his call. So I call him back and I'm what's going on? He's oh, hey, how's it going? I was good. Is everything okay? He's everything's fine. I just wanted to call you and talk to you. Do you have a minute? I was sure. I'm just kind of wrapping up my day at work. What's going on? And little did I know, it probably would have been better for me to exit the building at this point. So he launches into this story about having been contacted by somebody on Ancestry because they believed that they were related to my dad. And
like Ancestry.com.
Ancestry.com. Yeah. So you
Okay.
can go on and like if you like have your profile and you have enough information up there, you kind of get these little leaves that show up that like give you clues or hints that you might be related to somebody, and you can kind of like build out your family tree. It's kind of cool. So he gets contacted by this person, and they're like, we think we might be related. You know, would you be interested in finding out how we might be related? And he's like, sure. And they're like, cool. Like, would you be open to doing like a DNA test?
Oh my God.
And my dad, of course, is like, sure. Right? So, because I love my dad.
Because
I really
why not
do.
give a stranger a mouth swab?
Thank you. So, my dad, I love him. I do. I really do. But he lived a really, he lived the 60s and the 70s and most of the 80s and probably the majority of the 90s to its fullest. All right. So he's not, he's your stereotypical burnt out hippie dude. All right. Let's just say that.
Love it.
So he's like,
Love
sure. That sounds great. So he does this DNA test and submits it. And it comes back that this person, whose name is Heidi Leach, she lives in Washington, D.C.
Fancy.
And she is my half-sister.
Shut up.
She is my half-sister. So,
wait, what decade was she born?
She was born in 1966.
All right.
Which is 11 years older than me. And then, of course, my sister, Lindsay. So Lindsay and I are 4 years apart. I'm the oldest. And then now we have our half-sister, Heidi.
Are you going to meet her?
I'm totally going to meet her.
Have you talked to her?
I have talked to her.
What is she like? What does she do?
She's so cool. She's so cool. She's so cool. She's so nice. And I'm so excited. So
I want to know everything about her.
So he launches into the story. And of course, he's like so like dude about it, right? He's like, I don't even remember. And
of course you don't.
I was like, Dad, don't be a douche. Come on. Like, just at this point, own up to it, right?
Yeah.
Like, don't try to like play it off. So anyways, I'm kind of in like ultimate shock mode at that point.
I still can't get over the fact that he just gave a complete stranger a mouth swab.
Yeah. But again, this is my dad. I'm not surprised. Because that's like what my dad does. It's just weird things like that. So,
I feel like a guy, like the way I'm picturing your dad, I can't even like call him dad. I gotta call him like...
Everybody calls him Jim Buck.
Yes.
That's his name. That's what everybody calls him.
Papa Jim Buck.
He is Jim Buck. And that is like literally my friends from high school, they're like, how's Jim Buck? And I'm like, he's fine. Like they don't even say like, how's your dad? They're just like, how's Jim Buck? And I'm like, he's as Jim as ever. Thanks, guys. My sister, when she listens to this, is going to die.
I'm so envious of your life right now.
It's so crazy.
I can't even get over that.
So, like, I am in like shock mode. Like,
so why was she searching for this now? Like, is her mom okay?
So yeah, so I'll get into that. So I get off the phone with my dad, and I'm like, kind of wandering around my office, like I don't know where I am because I'm literally like in such shock of like this phone call. And
you gotta know who has like a little stash of scotch in their desk drawer.
Oh, I totally do. And so my coworkers who are like my life and my family right now, they like literally were like, are you okay? Like, what's going on? And all of a sudden, like this emotion kind of like bubbled up, and I kind of start crying, and I was like, I don't even know what to say. Like, I'm just like, they're like, whoa, like, what's up? And I was like, I don't know. I don't even know what's happening right now. Like, it was so weird. It was so bizarre. And so I tell them what's happening, and they're like, holy shit, this is crazy. Oh my God. I was like, yeah. I was like, I gotta find my car, and I need to go home, and I need to call my sister.
What does she think about all this?
She's kind of the same way. So she found out on Friday.
So before you.
Yes. My dad was like, don't say anything to your sister yet. Like, I'm going to tell her, like, this weekend, right? So the weekend comes and goes. He still hasn't told me. And my mom told me that she told my dad. She was like, if you don't tell the girls by Thanksgiving, I'm telling them.
Ultimatum right there.
Yeah, because she's like, well, you're not going to have the girls come for Thanksgiving and have this like big, like heavy news just like hanging out there.
What an elephant. What a giant
seriously,
blue
like
elephant.
At the Thanksgiving table, right? So my dad like mans up and he calls us and he tells us, which is probably one of like the most adult things he's ever done. So
that's okay.
He so we have a half sister, and I was
Are you friends on Facebook?
We are now.
That's official.
Yeah, we are now. So I come home and I'm still just like in crazy shock mode. Joe is like, eat some dinner, like fork to your mouth. Like I literally was like, I don't even know like what to do. And so I go to bed and I wake up the next morning and I'm like, I need to talk to my mom about this. So I call my mom on my way to work.
Yeah, what does she think about all of this?
She's like, this is so exciting for you and Lindsay, right?
What?
My mom is so rad. She's so rad. So, because she's just like
positive, bright, sunshiny way to look at it.
Because it was before her and my dad met.
Oh, really?
So it's not like it's an affair deal, right? She's like, this isn't my thing. This isn't a thing to me.
You know what I really am hoping that Heidi is like? Have you ever seen the show Scandal?
No.
I am in love with the girl in that show, and she lives in Washington, D.C. You should see it. I cannot believe you haven't seen Scandal. You have to watch it.
Okay. So, so my mom is just like, aside from you and Lindsay being like supported through this and like okay with all of this, that's as your mother, like that's what that's my only connection to this whole thing is to make sure that you girls are okay through all this. Like however this all works out and what happens. Other than that, like I don't have any skin in the game, essentially.
What a great time of the year to have something happen like this too.
Right? And so when I was on the phone with my dad, he's like, she doesn't want anything, she doesn't need anything. And I was like, okay, well, financially, sure, but I mean, she's obviously reaching out for a reason. She obviously wants to know who her biological father is.
And she has to have some kind of questions.
Sure.
Or something.
And, and it's not like we've got like a Buck Heister family $1 billion bank account sitting around that people are like knocking down our door to get a piece of.
So I gotta hear the story about your dad and this like other woman.
Yes.
Like, did they like meet one summer at Woodstock?
No.
Like,
you wish it was so cool like that, right? No. So it was in Grand Junction, Colorado, which is where he went to college. He was 21, and she was in high school, and they fully just had like a one night fling.
Really?
Yep. She got pregnant. Never told him. He had no idea. He had no idea that this was even a possibility. She got pregnant and delivered Heidi. And then Heidi was adopted by her wonderful, beautiful, amazing adoptive family, which raised her. And she actually only grew up like 30 miles from me and Lindsay.
Shut up.
Yeah, in Colorado. So, so I'm talking to my mom, and she was just like, yeah. I was like, and she was like, she's super lovely. I've talked to her on the phone, and we've exchanged a couple text messages, and she totally wants to meet you and Lindsay.
You guys could have seen each other.
And never even known.
Half a dozen times.
Never even known, right?
Wow.
So, like,
Small
this other,
world.
like, rise of emotion kind of comes up that I was like, oh my God, she wants to meet us. Like, this is, like, this is real.
Is she coming
This
to
is really
Thanksgiving?
happening. Oh, God, no.
Oh.
No. We're not quite there yet. So I was like, oh my God, like, she wants to meet us. Like, she wants to know us. Like, she wants to have a relationship with us. And I think that hit me the hardest because my boys are technically half brothers.
Yeah.
So Xavier's from my previous marriage. Corbin's from my marriage to Joe. And they've never been raised to even know what that means. Right? They don't know what half brother means. They just know that they're brothers. They know that they have different dads, but they're brothers. And they have this fantastic relationship and a bond, and just knowing and seeing where that's going to go throughout their adult life. Like, I think that's what hit me the most. I was like, oh my God, I have that. And then I missed out on it. You know what I mean? So I think that kind of caused some of the emotion around it. So I texted my mom later that night, and I was like, hey, I know you have Heidi's number. Can I get it? I think I want to text her. And she's like, sure, here it is. And I'll give her a heads up. I was like, no. It's like midnight on the East Coast right now. So like, don't bug her. I'll do it tomorrow. And this was on Wednesday. And so I texted my mom. I was like, okay, just whenever you're ready, just let her know I'm going to reach out to her today. And she was like, okay. And so I texted her, and I was just like, it took me like an hour to write it, because I would write something and then I would delete it, and then I would like just stare at a blank text screen, and then
what do you
I just
say?
exactly right.
Like, and you only have like a text can only be so big.
Exactly.
So what do you say? Like,
so I basically said just that. I was
up?
like, I basically said just that. I was like, so I've written this and rewritten it and deleted it and stared at a blank screen for like an hour, because there's no rules or handbook on how this works and what you're supposed to do and what you're supposed to say.
Yeah.
So, hi. Like, that's literally what my text said. And
I would put, like, yo with, like, a sunglass emoji.
Right? So, we exchanged a couple texts throughout the day, and I was like, I can't even imagine what your journey has been like through all of this. And she was like, well, let's chat. If you want to know, like, let's chat about it. And I was like, okay. She's like, how about tonight? And I was like, oh, God. Okay. It's like online dating, basically.
Yeah.
So we did. We got on the phone on Wednesday night, and we talked for like an hour and a half. And she's so lovely, and she's so nice, and she's so cool. And I literally can't wait to meet her in person. But so she was adopted when she was 20 or so, in her 20s. She kind of started to wonder, like, who her birth parents were, which I think is fairly normal for people who are adopted. I have a lot of friends who are adopted, ironically, and this is kind of like a normal thing from at least what I've seen, is that they get kind of curious.
Oh, sure. I think that's just
and especially
nature.
Like in your 20s too, right? You're like, who am I? Like, why am I the way I am?
You're curious about everything in your 20s.
Yes. So she connected with someone else in her adoptive family who had also been adopted, and kind of helped her walk through the process in Colorado. And
so did she find her mom?
So she was able to get a hold of her birth records, found her birth mom, reached out to her birth mom, and was like, hi, I'm Heidi, and I'm your daughter. And she was like, obviously, I know, right? I birthed you. But she, not like in my dad's case where he's like, what? But so she goes and meets this woman. Her name is Kay, and she has 3 other children. She's been married 4 times. So she has 2 half brothers and a half sister by her mom. And
dude, this girl's family just got huge.
Exploded.
Wow.
Exploded. Yeah. So she's like, I need to know who my birth dad is. Do you have any information on my birth dad? Because there's no information in her records. And she gives her this name, and she reaches out to this person, and he's like, oh yeah, he's like, I remember Kay. Like there's we had a relationship. It's possible that I could be your birth dad. And so they start quickly.
Here's my DNA.
They start quickly forming this relationship and meeting his children, thinking they're her half siblings, and they're like, we should probably just confirm this, because they really, really started to like each other and have a connection. And so they both do.
Oh, so this isn't your dad.
Test done, just to be sure.
Because they were like hitting it off.
Yes. So at this point, I don't remember exactly the timeline of it all, but she reaches back out to her birth mom and is like, this person is not my dad. Do you have any other information? And her mom becomes completely angry, very upset, tells her to stop asking, to leave her alone. She wants nothing to do with her or any of this at this point.
Wow.
So what she finds out is her mom is and has been an alcoholic, and has created this fantasy world that she lives in. And part of that fantasy world is that she had gotten pregnant by this man, had a daughter, had to give her up, but then went on to remarry and have other children, and then remarry again, and then remarry again and have another kid, or whatever, right? So she has like this very like victim-based story fantasy that involves this other man, which is not true. So basically Heidi is shattering this fantasy and like basically coming in and like dropping this bomb that now people are like, wait a minute, I thought you said. So she becomes very, very angry and is like, leave me alone. So, but she now has a DNA test where she can take that DNA test and put it up on Ancestry and start to ping against other people who've put their DNA tests up on Ancestry.
Right.
So she comes up with a hit on somebody in Seattle, who we think is possibly in like my family somewhere, and starts to direct her towards my dad's side of the family. And so she connects with one of my dad's cousins, and she says, you know, I think we might be related. Would you be interested in finding out how? And he's like, sure. And so they start asking some questions, and he's like, no, I've never lived in or been to or visited or vacationed in Colorado during this time.
Right.
But I have cousins who grew up in Colorado. You should reach out to them and see if they know anything. So she gets the name of my dad, who's also Jim, by the way, right? Jim Buck.
Jim Buck.
And my uncle, Jack. And so she gets on Facebook, can't really find anything on my Uncle Jack, but finds my dad. And on his Facebook page, it says that he attended Mesa State College in Grand Junction, Colorado, which is where she was
work
born.
For the FBI?
No, but she has worked for government agencies.
But
I feel like, you know,
anybody is suspecting their partner of cheating, reach out to Heidi.
But I think it just comes naturally, because my ex-husband cheated on me, and I found out more information than anybody in the FBI ever could. Like, I became a master of like hacking into phones and computers and Facebook accounts and reading text messages and tracking phone records.
Working Facebook,
yes.
calling down a phone tree.
A woman scorned will find more information than the FBI.
Ancestry.com. Yeah. Like, she's like in this.
Yeah.
But this has to take hours of time.
And years.
Years.
Too,
yeah,
right?
years.
And years.
Oh my gosh.
So she, so it's right there. Mesa State College in Grand Junction, Colorado. And so she's like, oh my God, like, I think this might be my birth dad. So fast forward to her reaching out and like pinging my dad about doing this whole thing.
Also, Ancestry is not cheap. Like, the
no,
further
the
you
DNA,
get,
oh yeah, there's
like,
like
the more,
subscriptions,
yeah, you have
and
to
like
subscribe,
monthly fees.
And if she's like sending, like, those kits are like $99
They're
each.
on sale right now.
Are they?
They are. They're on sale right now for like $59. Yeah. So if anybody wants to gift,
find their dad
DNA
for
kit.
Christmas. There you go.
So ironically though, my sister and I have gifted each other an Ancestry DNA kit for Christmas. So we're gonna do one. And then Heidi has actually gifted one to my mom. So we're all going to have our DNA up on Ancestry and like see how far the spider web unravels.
You know, I've been trying not to say this, but do you know who owns Ancestry.com?
No.
The LDS Church.
Oh, good. Great.
They save all of those files.
That's cool. They can have it.
And
I'm not joining the church.
I watched this news story that was on KSL.
Because they're based here in Utah. They're based here in Salt Lake.
On KSL, it's like a news station here in Utah. I was hearing about this story all over the radio because now that I have Mike's car, I don't have my XM radio anymore.
Right.
So I've been like listening to like regular old city radio stations. And the hospitals here in Utah are saving babies' DNA that are born here, and they're selling it.
What?
To the LDS Church.
What? That's insane.
It is.
Utah's crazy, y'all. I don't even know what to say about that. It's fine.
In their future.
They can have it. I'm not worried about the LDS.
They're going to clone you or do something weird.
I hope they do, because I'm fucking amazing.
They should.
They need to have more terrors running around this world anyways. So
maybe I should swab my mouth with Ancestry.com.
Right?
What
Seriously.
we just had a massive Star Wars army
Yes.
of Tara and Emma clones.
Yes, I love it.
Imagine
I love it.
all of the crazy conversations.
Oh my God. Days and days worth.
That would
So
be nuts.
crazy, right? So that was my peak. So Lindsay and I are going to Google Hangout with Heidi over Thanksgiving so that we can see her in person and chat with her for a little bit. And then we have totally talked about taking a trip out to DC to meet her in person. So I'll keep you guys posted.
Yes.
And if anybody listening has gone through this and on either side, like share your story. Because this is like, I don't know what the hell I'm doing, but it's like dating.
That's cool though. Like technology does have a purpose.
It does. It does.
So that's
it's
cool
really
that you guys can do that. Because like clearly opposite ends of the country here.
Yes. Yeah. So
that
cool, right?
Insane.
Yeah. So that was the peak of my week. And the craziest life bombshell I think I've ever gotten. Ever. Unless there's more.
My eyes are so big.
I know they are.
I can feel like your air vent just like drying them out into prunes. Wow.
Crazy, right?
Very nutso.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's going to be really cool if she turns out to be like a best friend.
I know, right? Because
there's so much potential there.
Absolutely. Because my sister and I, Lindsay and I, are super close. Like, we're really close.
Hashtag girl gang.
I know, right? And so, like, before we wrap up, the funniest thing my sister said to me, though, because, like, I've hung my hat on, like, being, like, the big sister, like, my whole life.
Yeah.
And she texted me the other day. She's like, what up, middle sister? And I was like, all right, bitch, I'm going to need you to shut up. Like, that's not right.
You might be dethroned. You might have to share your hat.
Hand the crown over to the older sister.
Yeah.
So.
Like this, it might overwhelm you. So I think we're gonna end the episode here.
I think so. We'll just let that boogie on your brain for a week, and then we'll give you some updates after Thanksgiving on how the rest of it kind of plays out. We'll just keep you all updated.
I'm dying to hear how your Google Hangout goes.
Right, I know.
This is a story. I'm gonna like follow you even more now. Right? I'm gonna be like your stalker, your cyber creep.
Yeah, right do it. Do it. I love it.
Crazy. Well, have a good holiday, everyone.
Thanks.
I think this is going to be going up around Thanksgiving, so
I think so.
Crazy. Hope everyone has a great, safe holiday. Anybody who's traveling, be
travel
safe.